I think it's really important to talk about women and girls in science because of our unique perspectives and our unique biology.
While I think it's really great and encouraging that there is a ton of interest in science here at St. Clement's, the reality is that outside of these walls, women are still underrepresented in many STEM fields.
It's really important for women to be in research because we ask different kinds of questions and we get different solutions, and our diversity it's really important to be represented in research.
I feel like as much as we can talk about it, as much as we can make our students here aware of the opportunities that are available to them, the better. And studies have even shown that girls who have access to STEM role models who are women or know women who work in STEM fields are far more likely to engage in STEM activities.
What I like most about science is using the tools of science to answer questions about how things work around me.
You can look at something and know how it works and understand how it relates to other things and have this deeper level of appreciation that you don't get by just kind of looking at something on the surface. Instead of thinking, oh, that's just a rainbow, it's pretty colors, you know how those colors are made through refraction and all that cool stuff.
So I personally get a lot of motivation from the idea of finishing a project and arriving at an answer. And so I love that sometimes scientific research allows me to feel that sense of motivation. What I learned to love through doing my master's research is that oftentimes when you think you've arrived at the end of a project, you've actually just arrived at more questions.
It helps you problem solve. It helps you figure out a good way of making a plan and coming up with a creative solution.
I really love the idea and the feeling that a project is maybe never actually done and that there are always new things to learn and discover.
Being very curious about how things work and finding out answers to those questions. I think that's the most exciting thing about science. The most fun thing I find about science is that you learn by doing, and also to see curiosity sparked in others when they find out something new or they have an observation and then they get some greater understanding to explain that observation.
Most fun thing about science is the challenge that you can get in science, in studying science especially, I find. Like when you get one of those really tough problems and you're working hard at it and you like work with your friends a bit on it, and then you get that moment that it clicks and you sort it out and it's kind of like, ah.
So one thing that I find to be a lot of fun about science from a research perspective is actually seeing your research impact people in real life. I love the idea of working with other people on a project or even just discussing a really interesting concept or idea. And I think that is one of the main reasons why I actually love teaching science so much.
Now we're going to do a fun experiment called the traffic light experiment. We have some water that we mix with a little sodium hydroxide, glucose, and a chemical indicator called indigo carmine. As we pour it into the volumetric flask, it changes color from yellow to red to green. This is because the solution is mixing with oxygen as we pour it, which changes the color of the chemical indicator. And as we let the solution sit, it starts to turn back to red, then back to yellow. When we shake the flask, the solution mixes with oxygen again, so it turns back to red, then back to green.